All right, everyone. Several political and socio-political groups that back the Palestinians in the Israel-Palestine thing and oppose the occupation of Gaza are planning mass protests, actually, starting at the DNC tomorrow. What's not clear is quite how many people are going to show up. It could be thousands, in which case you get some probably minor clashes, mainly. But it could be more than that. We're not 100% sure. There will presumptively be counter-protests, and I have a feeling there's going to be an enormous police presence in and around the DNC area. And they're going to do that because what they don't want is a repeat of 1968. Of course, you can look up the 1968 DNC protests and to see some weird shit. I would say that it's probably not going to be on that order, but it's likely to get fairly messy. So if you're in Chicago, or you're planning to go to the DNC, be careful, please. Don't get yourself arrested, and don't get yourself beaten to a bloody pulp. I have a feeling that there will be significant counter-protests, too. And it won't be the only protesters there. MAGA could show up. A bunch of groypers could show up. Maybe we'll have the little lemonade stand run by clankers. Oh, wait, in Chicago, you probably need a $1,000 license for that, so never mind. I suspect that things will get messy. What they could devolve into is street fighting and Wendy's burning. In which case, while chaos will break out, the legacy media will call it fiery but mostly peaceful and say, well, we're not exactly sure what grievance these people have, but I'm sure it has nothing to do with the fact that the Biden administration is an abysmal failure. What there should be is a shit ton of MAGA protesters there. They should be planning to show up, drown out every other group, and they'll be the only ones probably that don't throw punches. Like you can expect, Antifa will be there, for example. We know this. It's fairly obvious. Antifa will be there. They just harass and abuse anyone who happens to be around, including their fellow leftoids. You're going to have probably far left protesters who are more on the the Biden admins to neoliberal side. You'll probably get clashes in the streets. It's just a matter of how many of them there are. What could happen is that you get enough chaos to distract from the DNC itself. Shh, the Democrats are hoping for that. Protests outside will be problematic. Well, here's these Gaza protesters and shit like that. It would actually be good for them. People would be talking about the protests and not about the likely gaffes that Kamala Harris will make, or about her stupid platform, or about the fact that Biden might wander off stage when he's announcing, when he opens the DNC, because he's the keynote speaker, he's the fucking president of the United States. He could very well mumble his way through it and look disheveled. Well, people will be too busy talking about the Wendy's down the street burning. By the way, Planned Parenthood drawing up one of its mobile vans, actually, a couple of blocks away from the DNC to supply free abortions and vasectomies. That's not actually a joke, by the way. They're actually doing that. It's rather telling. Again, I'm pro-choice, but it's rather ironic now, isn't it? And I think the DNC will be marred by the Gaza protesters and possibly other protest groups. Again, Antifa will agitate. That's the only reason that they exist. They'll probably try to whip the Gaza protesters into a frenzy by having some people dress up as Orthodox Jews or something like that. What happens if a part of the Jewish community shows up to hold a group prayer or something like that? They'll probably get attacked. And this is Chicago. It's already a goddamn powder keg. How many shootings did they have last weekend? Who knows? It's definitely in the double-digit range, though. If they only have 9 shootings on a Saturday, the police are like, wow, that was a fucking slow night. This is Chicago we're talking about. I don't know why the Democrats decided it was a good idea to even hold their convention there. I mean, maybe Boston or something like that. There are plenty of places you can go. And also, I mean, Illinois will go far blue anyway, so you're not picking up any additional, love for holding it there. Trump and the Republicans, they held theirs in Milwaukee. Well, that's in a state that's in play. It's a swing state. Why the fuck did you hold it in Illinois? It doesn't even make sense. If I was heading the DNC, I would have optioned a few other locations. It would have been better to put it in fucking New Hampshire, in Manchester, or something like that. You could. That would really help you. You could have held it in Atlanta, Georgia. Oh, wait, that's right. Atlanta was on fire, too, and even CNN headquarters got ransacked down during the Summer of Love riots. It's almost like wherever the Democrats congregate, bad things happen. It's inexplicable. I can't imagine why this would happen. I don't think it's going to be as bad as 68. Although, there are certainly people out there that are hoping that it devolves into complete chaos. The real thing, though, is will the Gaza protesters or some other group manage to penetrate into the DNC itself? Whether they storm it by force, unlikely because of the huge police presence, or infiltrate it. There is a distinct possibility that that happens, so I'm sure that the Democrats are setting up to make sure that the microphones are very directional, so to speak. Because what they don't want is for a couple dozen Gaza protesters to get into the convention and cause a problem live. If it's outside, they're going to they won't have a problem with that because it'll distract people from the shit happening inside. And I'm less interested, by the way, in what happens outside the convention center than what happens in it. I expect Biden to be incoherent. He usually is at this point. I expect Kamala to cackle, to lie, and to say weird shit. This is what I expect. It's a star-studded, multi-day affair with possible riots outside. How lovely. Meanwhile, at the Republican National Convention, things pretty much went off without a hitch. Supposedly, Trump is the most hated person in the world, and yet the protests, they were pretty diminutive. They're like maybe a few hundred people gathered outside saying boo. Yet meanwhile, there were like 10,000 people waiting outside saying, yay, Trump. I don't think that you're going to get that at the DNC. Sure, you'll get some supporters. But we're talking about at least multiple thousands of protesters that plan to show up. It could be more than that. If they overrun the police, which happened in 68 at times, then all hell breaks loose. The Democrats will look disjointed and crazy. They're hoping that there are significant protests, significant enough to distract from what happens in the DNC, but not significant enough to devolve into basic anarchy. That's basically, they're hoping for that sweet spot. That's what they want. I mean, if there aren't many protesters outside, if they don't metastasize and show up, if the protests don't really materialize to any significant degree, then, of course, people are focused on what Kamala's saying. And Kamala doesn't want you to hear what she has to say, generally speaking, unless it's in an echo chamber, because her ideas are unpalatable to the average intelligent human being. That's about all. Peace out.